All right, so now we know the three different types of unemployment. Hopefully you watch the types of unemployment video first. Don't need the mask, I guess. So we're gonna talk about full employment in detail. A good thing about this is a fixed place, at least for the short run. And full employment does not mean everybody has a job, so get that out of your mind, okay? An economy at full employment has a certain percentage of unemployed people, okay? We have never and never will have an economy where everybody has a job, okay? So full employment in economics means at the natural rate of unemployment, okay? And the natural rate of unemployment, as we discussed, is frictional plus structural unemployment. Okay, and it's about 5%. There's arguments about where it should be. Under Reagan, it was 6%. Under Bill Clinton, it was 4%. Under Trump, it was 4%. Now, after the pandemic, it looks like it might be more around 5%. Don't worry too much about the number. This will just be kind of serving as a reference point. I'll be using 5%. And that's frictional plus structural unemployment. The key to full employment is there's no cyclical unemployment. So cyclical unemployment is the big bad bully that we're trying to fight. Okay, that is the enemy of the economy caused by the financial crisis, the tech bubble in year 2000, which you guys probably are completely unaware happened. The recession, stagflation of the 70s, and obviously the Great Depression. Okay, and most recently the pandemic, we've had cyclical unemployment, so we're not at full employment now. Okay, during the first few years of Trump, we had unemployment below 4%, so it is possible to go past full employment, meaning even more people employed than is natural. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a second. On the graph, it's at LRAS, which is long run aggregate supply. Okay, and it's a vertical line, and think of it as a flagpole, kind of stuck in the ground. It can change, but the changes are seismic, meaning, at a glacial pace. It always tends to increase. Can decrease if you have wars or things like that, but just think of it as a fixed place for now. And it's the economy producing at a sustainable level for the long run. The economy is capable of producing, $24 trillion right now. So sustainably, okay? If we had to, it's possible we could get to 32 trillion, destroy all of our resources and exhaust everything, and that wouldn't be sustainable, right? And if we produced at 18 trillion in the United States, well, that's well short of what we're capable of doing. So long-run aggregate supply is what we're capable of doing, each year, successfully carrying over year after year. And by the way, we almost never produce at the long-run aggregate supply. So we're either short in a period of recession or we're going past it in a period of expansion. And on the graph, full employment is at long-run aggregate supply. So I'm gonna make a very complicated graph here. So there's gonna be a lot going on. It's kind of like the Monopoly graph, like curves going everywhere, right? Here, okay, hold on. Oh gosh, I'm exhausted. All right. So this is long-run aggregate supply, okay? And that is where the economy is producing at. And this is the same graph that we had aggregate supply and aggregate demand. So from now on, I'll have to call the other aggregate supply curve the short-run aggregate supply. And then the aggregate demand, there is no long-run aggregate demand. There's just one aggregate demand curve. But this is the same graph, and we're going to superimpose those two curves on top of this one and evaluate where the economy falls. okay? So, let's say this is, that doesn't matter, but this is full employment economy. And whatever the real GDP that corresponds to that, okay? And keep in mind, when we say unemployment is 5%, that means employment is 95%, the complementary number. And as we said before, employment, income, and output are all represented on this graph. So there's a lot going on here. If we go past this level, okay, so let's say our GDP ended up here, that's to the right, that means that the unemployment rate would actually be less than 5%. If we fell short of what we're capable and we're over here, that would mean that unemployment would be greater than 5%. All right, so just keep that in mind. I'm gonna keep my eye on the time here. Okay, I think I'm gonna keep it at that for right now. Just make sure you know that this is 5% unemployment, and what can be confusing to people is if we have a number to the right here, unemployment goes down. So sometimes it's better to think of this as 95% employment here. If we're to the right, it's 96% employment, okay? Very difficult to communicate that employment and unemployment are different, right? Even I struggle with this. All right, so again, there's 5% unemployment here, and it's the natural rate of unemployment. So full employment means we're at the, I'll use this a lot, the NRU, okay, which is the natural rate of unemployment of 5%. Okay, all right, and we'll get into, when we get back into class, we'll talk about when the economy is to the right and to the left of those. A little bit too complex to cover in an 8-minute video. 7:36, 7:37, 7:38, gonna beat the clock.